So what's up, Cryptid crew, and welcome back to the urban enigmas and monsters and mysteries and myths. We're diving deep into the concrete jungle, far beyond the alligators in the sewers or the headless horseman of Sleepy Hollow. We're talking about the real, obscure, the truly unsettling, the barely whispered about monsters, creatures, cryptids, and demons lurking in the shadows of New York City. All right, New York City. The city that never sleeps. I don't think many of the people here sleep either. A melting pot of cultures, dreams, and apparently some seriously weird stuff hiding in plain sight. We all know the classic urban legends, but what about the things that don't make it into every tourist guide? The creatures born from forgotten folklore, hushed whispers, and those moments when you just know you saw something you shouldn't have. First up, let's talk about the Manhattan Monster. Now, you might have heard of the Montauk Monster, that decomposing, vaguely canine-like carcass that washed ashore on Long Island, but the Manhattan Monster is a different beast entirely, and arguably even more disturbing. This creature allegedly surfaced under the Brooklyn Bridge. Descriptions are vague but consistent. A strange, mutilated face and a horrifying, unidentifiable form. Was it a prank, a highly decomposed animal, or something else? The mystery surrounding its true nature is what makes it so unsettling. Imagine taking a stroll by the East River and seeing that washed up. Gives you chills, right? So, move from the water to, well, still near the water, but with a more benevolent, if still bizarre twist. We have Behemoth. No, not a character from a children's book, though it sounds like one. Behemoth is a two-headed fish said to inhabit the junction pool, where the Beaverkill River and the Willow-Mock Creek meet in Roscoe, New York. While Roscoe is technically upstate, this legend is a fascinating piece of New York folklore. The story goes that Behemoth grew a second head because it couldn't decide which way to swim. While likely folklore, it highlights the unique and often whimsical nature of local legends, even in a state as bustling as New York. It's a reminder that even the most mundane places can harbor extraordinary tales. Now let's talk about something a little bit more humanoid. You've heard about Bigfoot, but what about the Kinderhook creature? While most sightings are in Kinderhook, upstate New York, the accounts are too compelling to ignore, and it speaks to a broader, lesser-known category of bipedal creatures reported throughout the state. In the 1960s, and with sightings continuing into the 80s, people reported seeing a bizarre blob-like entity, something described as a white floating blob that terrified even armed men. Other accounts describe a hairy reddish-brown humanoid 8 feet tall with small red eyes and black fingernails, like a cross between Bigfoot and Big Bird. Seriously, that was one description, and the idea of a shapeless, terrifying blob or a weirdly proportioned ape-man wandering New York's wilderness is certainly more obscure than your typical Sasquatch. But let's go even deeper into the darker side. What about the hobgoblin of Fort Niagara? Most people think of upstate New York as beautiful, historical, maybe a little spooky, but hobgoblins? This small, mischievous, and even sometimes malevolent creature from British folklore is said to haunt the cave-like cell known as the Black Hole at Fort Niagara, used for solitary confinement. There are even whispers of a similar creature in the fort's graveyard. While hobgoblins are common in Europe, and their European myths and legends, their appearance in American ghost lore, especially in such a specific historical context, makes this a truly unique and obscure legend. Imagine being locked away in a cell, hearing whispers, and knowing that you're not alone with your thoughts. And speaking of historical horror, let's touch upon the Golem of New York. While the Golem is a well-known figure in Jewish folklore, originating from tales in the 16th century Prague about rabbis creating a clay behemoth to protect their communities, the legend found new life in early 20th century New York. Helene Wecker's novel, The Golem and the Jinni, beautifully blends Jewish and Middle Eastern folklore in an early 20th century New York City setting, reminding us that these ancient myths can adapt and thrive in new urban landscapes. The idea of a powerful, soulless protector, created from the very earth of the city and walking its streets, is a chilling and potent image, far removed from your typical ghost story. It's a creature of immense power, but also immense tragedy, often fraught with unintended consequences. And finally, for something truly disturbing, we have the concept of the Wild Man of New York. This isn't just a generic Bigfoot sighting. These tales date back to European folklore of the Woodwose, or Wild Man of the Woods. Figures believed to be feral humans or ape-like beasts lurking on the fringes of civilization. In New York, sightings date back to the early 19th century with reports of hair-covered figures dashing through the woods. In 1869, over 100 residents of Steuben County described a beastly figure with matted hair, a wild beard, and bloodshot eyes. Fast forward to 1895 in Margaretville, and a creature described as a wild-eyed man or ape attacked horses, standing 7 feet tall, covered in hair, and possessing immense strength. These aren't just cryptids. They blur the line between human and beast, suggesting a terrifying regression or an undiscovered species that feels much closer to home. From the murky depths of the East River to the ancient woods upstate, New York City and its surrounding areas are not just concrete and skyscrapers. They're fertile ground for stories of the strange, the unexplained, and the truly obscure. These legends, whether born from misidentification, vivid imagination, or something far more unsettling, serve as a reminder that even in our most modern landscapes, the unknown still thrives. So the next time you're walking through Central Park, riding the subway late at night, or even just looking out over the Hudson, remember these stories. Remember the Manhattan Monster, Behemoth, the Kinderhook creature, the Hobgoblin of Fort Niagara, the Golem, and the Wild Man, because you never know what truly obscure horrors might be sharing the city with you. So what do you think? Have you ever heard of any of these legends before, or do you have your own obscure New York City creature sightings or stories? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more urban mysteries, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss my next deep dive into the unexplained. I'll speak to you next time. Bye-bye.